Welcome back, survivalists. So a 100-page US government response plan to COVID-19 was just leaked, and some of the content inside this plan is a little concerning. So after reading through it, here are my 3 biggest takeaways. So on page 7, it reads, a pandemic will last 18 months or longer and could include multiple waves of illness. 18 months is what really stood out to me. Now the truth is, nobody really knows. It could last a heck of a lot longer than that. It could last a lot shorter than that. We don't know, but these are America's top experts on the subject. I'm guessing they kind of evaluated past pandemics and what their timelines were, and they're saying in general this could last for 18 months. And the line about multiple waves of this illness also really stood out to me. So what we may see is the number of infections going to go up and then plateau and then go up, then plateau, then go up, then plateau. Right now in China, it looks like they've got somewhat of a control over this after putting everybody on lockdown. So we've seen the numbers go up to about 80,000, and right now it's plateauing. And in the next few weeks, you're gonna start allowing people to go back to work. And my prediction is when they do that, they're gonna see another increase in infections. And we'll probably see a similar pattern here in America when we see these multiple waves of infections spreading across the states. And on that same page in section 6, it also reads, supply chains and transportation impacts due to ongoing COVID-19 outbreaks will likely result in significant shortages for government, private sectors, and individual US consumers. So we've been talking about this for a while, that we are going to see shortages of certain supplies here in America as our supply chains get disrupted. And we're already seeing a shortage in things like Clorox disinfecting wipes and hand sanitizers and respirators. My biggest concern is that we may see a shortage in certain types of foods. Now, a lot of our food is made here in America. We're not gonna see a shortage on that. But what we may see a shortage on is the packaging for that food, which we do get from countries like China. And like it says in this report, these shortages are going to impact consumers, businesses, and the government. So depending on what these items are that we're going to see a shortage of, this could be really scary. And I have a feeling that America is going to learn a very painful lesson here about importing so much of our goods, such as face masks. My second takeaway is that we're seeing numerous references to the Defense Production Act of 1950. So this was a Korean War era law that allowed the president to step into the private sector and start really controlling them and dictating what they produce and who they sell it to. We also saw something similar during World War II, where car manufacturers are now producing airplanes or bombs or guns for the war effort. And in recent weeks, I've also seen a lot of congressmen and senators also referencing this exact act. So there's a very good possibility that the president is going to use his powers under the Defense Production Act of 1950. So let me read this quick section here on page 68, which is one of the many references to this act, including using the authority under the Defense Production Act to ensure the timely availability of industrial products, vaccines, antiviral drugs, materials, and services that meet homeland security requirements. So one obvious product that comes to mind is those N95 respirators that hospitals are having a shortage of. But with all the other supply chain shortages that the government is going to be experiencing, as well as maybe the consumer, we're probably going to see the private sector being forced to manufacture that here in the US as well. And kind of going along with this, we see on page 21, it says, shortages of products may occur, impacting healthcare, emergency services, and other elements of critical infrastructure. This includes potential critical shortages of diagnostic, medical supplies, including PPE and pharmaceuticals, and staffing in some locations. So most likely, these are the type of products that we're gonna see the government mass produce here in the United States. And honestly, if the government did use their power under this act to force manufacturers to produce these materials, I'm not upset about that. That is actually what we probably need right now. You know, China is producing a lot of those N95 masks, but they're not selling them, they're not exporting them, they're using them in their own country. And we are gonna see more supply chain disruptions as this COVID-19 spreads around the world. And if we are entering into a recession, which I think we are, this could really help stimulate the economy in a lot of good ways and create a lot of good jobs. Now, my third big takeaway is one of the more scarier ones. This is on page 21, and it reads, state and local governments, as well as critical infrastructure and communications channels, will be stressed and potentially less reliable These stresses may also increase the challenges of getting updated messages and coordinating guidance to these jurisdictions directly. So they're saying our local government is going to be stressed and not as reliable. So this could include things like the fire department and the police department and our hospitals. And that does make sense. You know, some number of our police force is going to have compromised immune systems or just be highly susceptible to this virus and may just want to stay at home. We're already seeing in some states where patients who have been diagnosed with the COVID-19 are refusing to not go out in public and refusing to shelter in place. And what we're seeing is that the police department has been put on 24/7 watch with always having a trooper parked out of these people's homes to enforce this lockdown on the individuals. That kind of stuff is going to be straining the police force and using up their precious resources. This is pretty concerning. On a local level, we are going to feel the impact of this virus. If you want to learn more about what flattening the curve means and how it is our best course of action right now, check out this video I did right here. If you want to stay updated on the COVID-19 pandemic, subscribe and hit that little bell icon to get notified every time I upload a new video. Thanks so much for watching, be safe, and I'll see you over in the next video.